Hi everybody, this is Priscilla Hole. This is the intro for the Taurus new moon reading, live reading that was done yesterday. I had a bit of a technical glitch, and so a few little things didn't quite come together, and so the meeting, or the presentation yesterday started with a bit of a so I basically had to redo this and do some editing, and I'm still learning, so bear with me on this. It's a bit of a learning curve, and so the Taurus new moon is about the self. It's about the Taurian energy of luxury and beauty, and possibly an element of self-indulgence at this point in time. So this energy is going to be pretty powerful. It kind of lasts 2 to 4 weeks from new moon to new moon, but 2 weeks if you want to talk from new moon to full moon. And so it's up to you how you choose to identify and use this energy, but it is a time to come in and be present to yourself. And new moon is very much about coming home into the body as opposed to letting go. And it's also about creating intentions for anything new that you'd like to manifest. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. I'll see you soon for the next new moon reading, which will be for the Gemini new moon, and that will be another live reading as well, so I'll be inviting everybody to join me on that. And these are free readings too, so please feel free to come along and have fun. So what I've done, and I was mentioning this earlier when I was recording before, because I'll just admit that I'm doing a double recording here. What I've done is it's something that I've really noticed about the astrology and the key elements of the zodiac sign, and the 4 main elements that the zodiac works with, which is fire, earth, air, and water. And someone was asking me yesterday, what does this all mean? I said, well, when you go into Aries is, fire, Taurus is earth, Gemini is air, and you've got Cancer is water. And they're the first 4 elements that come through in the zodiac. So they're the ones that we feel most specifically in our body, And so when it comes to Taurus is all about our personal luxury, our personal taking care of our bodies. Do we indulge ourselves? Because it's also ruled by Venus. And I thought it was quite interesting when I started to really look at that, to try and explain to people how the elements work. So Taurus is very much about self-care, physical self-care, and almost to the degree of indulgence, because it's the most earthy of all of the earth signs, because the other earth signs you've got is Virgo, which is actually also ruled by Mercury. So it's got a little bit of a heady headspace, as opposed to being very grounded and very earthy. And then you've got Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, which is all about structure and control. So yes, it's earthy, but it's not as physically earthy as the other, as Taurus is. Taurus is the most physically earthy of the earth signs. And being a new moon in Taurus, it's all about the energy related specifically to starting something new, that is all about you and your body, and doing something that's very grounded and very, very specifically grounded about you and your personal self and your personal care. So that's what I've noticed about this new moon, is going to be very much looking after ourselves in this level, really looking after our body and really looking after the earthly self, as opposed to, the structures that move outside our body, because those, as I was saying, those first 4 elements are in what's known as the personal houses in the astrological wheel. So, and so in that case, it's all about self, very much, So, okay, so being a new moon in Taurus, it is about self, and it's about starting new plans and starting off new projects. So what do you want to do that's looking after yourself? What's a new regime you want to do that's going to be able to be implemented, and because you're enjoying doing it, because your body absolutely loves it? What a great way to do that. So, and at the end of this, what I'll also do is we'll take you off mute, and if you've got any questions, then we can answer those questions and address them via the card. So for those who haven't joined us before, this is an Osho Zen Tarot deck, and as I've mentioned in previous readings, I just take a card from the deck, and whatever comes up is relevant, so I'm just giving them a bit of a shuffle. So this is also about the collective for everybody. I'm just going to tune in and see which card throws itself out of the deck or not. I'll have to pluck one out by the looks of it. So here we go. This is beautiful. Alrighty. So what we have here is the Patience card. And this card here is the one that is, I'm just going to change the video settings and see what I can do here. It's still showing just you. Sorry, darling. It's all very, so this card here is really telling us that we're in the middle of a change, and that we need to be very patient with what's going on around us. As you can see, she's pregnant with expectation. There's a whole lot going on in there. And, you know, with the new moon, or the dark of the moon, as they say, that's the beginning of a whole new cycle. So we're actually in this beautiful opportunity to decide what would we like to bring in, but recognizing most importantly that we need to have patience to allow this process to take place properly. You know, when you come up with a new idea to create something, when you come up with a desire to make change, sometimes it doesn't happen quickly, and it actually needs to brew and gestate. There's a gestation period. So you put all your energies into recognizing something's coming and that you're making change in some way, shape or form. But then you've also got this time where you've actually got to let it go and trust in the process of letting it go, and know that this gestation period, this brewing period, will in actual fact allow all the things that need to make it actualize, come into place and come together naturally. If you keep going in and playing with your recipe, you're probably going to, you know, muddle it up somehow or mess with it. So, you know, yeah, sure, you might go in and check the lid and lift the lid and see if it's still brewing away, but don't go and, you know, start stirring it up too much, because then it becomes something that maybe you didn't really want in the first place, and you're adding too many new ingredients or too many new components to it, and it needs to take time to brew. So, hi, Amelia, how are you going? Thank you for joining us. I've got you on mute. Can you hear me? Just put your thumbs up if you can hear me, Amelia. Oh, well, either way, I'll keep talking. So what we've got, here is that real recognition that it's a great time to allow some changes to come through and just let them happen of their own accord. If you start messing with it, then you're going to be, you know, messing with the natural order of things, so to speak. So, and so I'm just going to see what's happening here. So Amelia doesn't seem to have her video going, no, her microphone functioning at the moment. So here we go. She's just muted herself. Have you muted? Can you hear me, Amelia?
Yes. Sorry,
okay.
It's taken me that long to actually download Zoom, get it to work. I was going from iPad to computer, and then I just had a few glitches, and then I had the live chat with the Zoom team, and finally I'm on.
Oh, fantastic. Welcome to Mercury Retrograde then. I'm just going to mute you so that I'm just going to finish up with this, and then I'll open up for everybody if they want to ask any questions. So, because I already got Natalie on the call and she got here earlier. So I'll just mute you now, and then I'll just make a few more comments about the card.
Cool.
So, okay, let me mute audio for Amelia. Okay, so this card, as I was mentioning earlier, is pretty much about creating something new and allowing things to gestate of their own accord, because things take time, okay? So the card is also recognition of, you know, there's a process with the moon phases as well, which I think is really gorgeous. It's perfect in timing with the fact that this is a new moon, and so it's not technically the new moon is not really shown on this particular card, but you can see it by, you look at one very edge of the card, it's almost a black circle. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you all off mute and unmute everybody. So if anyone has a question, Amelia, I'll answer any questions. I'll just let Natalie speak first if she's got any questions, and then if you've got anything you'd like to ask or whatever, I'll go into more clarity for you, okay? Because you missed out on the first part of pulling the card and what the astrology signs are about. But then you're a bit of an astrologer anyway, so that should be fine. Okay, so everybody's unmuted. Natalie, got any questions?
No, I just thought that was a really cool card because it's definitely reflective of how I feel at the moment. At the moment, I've got all these things that it's almost like I should be doing, and I know it's going to be good in the long run, but I have this big resistance to even putting anything into action at the moment. And I've been trying to feel into that over the last couple of days to be like, okay, am I being avoidant, which, can be part of it, or like, is it actually like what you've said about like allowing things to actually brew, so I kind of like that, because it gave me a little bit of reassurance that although there might be a few things at play, that it's not going to be forever that I'm going to be avoiding. Like, it's just actually, if I can take a pregnant pause, like just for a moment, not pause for too long, because then that's on me, but if I just take a pause for a moment and just give it a few days and then see how I feel. If it's longer than that, then I know it's something that I'm sort of doing. But yeah, I feel very much like I should be doing lots, but I also don't want to.
Yeah, it's a bit of a paradox, isn't it, when our head gets in the way and we recognise that it has a tendency to try and drive things that we think need to be done. And one of the things that I can really appreciate is that there's an outside world that tells us how we should be running things and how they should be done, and we become our worst critics for not getting things done in the time frames that everybody else somehow seems to make happen. The reality is we all deal with this. We create a rod for our own back by how harshly we speak, self-talk, which about, the power of negative self-talk, and particularly, that we've made mistakes and therefore it's all our fault. Well, sometimes it's not, So, and you, having done psychosomatics as well, you fully appreciate the play that has on how we function, and undermine ourselves as well, So, yeah, so take the time. Whose rules?
Yeah.
Whose rules? Whose rules are we playing by?
Yeah.
Especially when we list things. And I think also too, there's a really powerful process to be acknowledged around seeding an idea and then allowing it to properly germinate. Yes, feed it, the soil and the nutrients, but you can't make it grow any taller or any faster. The roots have to come down into the soil and take a good grip before anything can truly, truly happen. And a tree and a sapling, they're not strong. They take time to root themselves deeply in what needs to happen. So the seeding process is important, but then you've got to leave it alone for a little while. Water it with love. You know what I mean? Know that you're doing the right thing, and trusting. Yeah, there's a great deal of trust in all of that as well. So, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, Natalie. That's really gorgeous.
Thank you.
How are you going, Amelia? You well?
Yeah, pretty good. Things are happening a little bit.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, do you have any questions? What would you like to ask? Because this is having joined the call a little bit late. I can appreciate that you're probably thinking, "Oh, what's this about?" But anyway.
Oh no, I just wanted to know: is that the only card we talked about today?
Yeah, it is. Oh, good. So I only draw. Okay, so just to explain how I do these, I've been doing the full moon and new moon readings for a couple of years now, and I draw one card, and it's essentially a card that identifies the collective energy, and so everyone will identify with it in some way, shape, or form. And being the Taurus new moon, this is about that earth energy that's very much related to nurturing of the self. Taurus being ruled by Venus, it's about love of self. I feel that we need to love ourselves, and Taurus teaches us how to do that by being what might be termed as indulgent or self-indulgent. But in actual fact, it's probably the deepest form of self-love. I think that's really important to remember, because I was just sharing with Natalie earlier that, I see the first 4 star signs of the elements, which is the Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer, are very specifically, in terms of the first 4 elements, or the 4 elements of the entire zodiac wheel, they're the ones that are really specifically related to ourselves and they're our bodies. And then when they go around into the other star signs, they become a little bit more removed and a bit more heady and a little bit more esoteric as you go up the levels of the different astrology signs, the different zodiac signs. So being the new moon in Taurus, it's very much about this, seeding something and, allowing it to take this growth to take place naturally. You know, you can't force a baby to grow faster in the belly. It's not going to happen. You know, you can't force a tree to grow or a seed to grow faster out of the soil. It's not going to happen. You know, might give it some hormones, but then you'll end up with a Franken monster. You know, so what's the purpose of that? So that's what the card is all about. It's about recognizing that when you've seeded an idea, it's going to take a time to gestate. It's going to take time to brew so that the right outcome comes in, and you might have to actually just let it go. You know, plant the seed, walk away, come back, check on it, water it, walk away again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Taurus has always been to me the sign about just strengthening your actual comfort zone. People say step out of it, but you actually need to actually get it strong, because that's where you fall back on. And this is the time to sort of get that really, you know, get it really strengthened, that little physical world, I suppose, around you, where you actually, your whole body, you know, feel it in yourself that deeply that you are safe before you can go out in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this card's really clearly highlighting that, you know, for that safety to take place, sometimes it can take time to put those safety mechanisms in place as well, you know, and to allow it to happen naturally instead of trying to force it, you know. So, yeah, well, that's really cool. So any questions?
No, it seems to be, yeah, it's what I'm practicing. It was kind of interesting. And then I excuse to allow myself just to take things slowly. So yeah, not sort of going, jumping into this one. I guess, you know, you just sort of say, I'm just not in the mood for it right now. Just wanted to take it easy, and it's good to know that's, you know, it seems to be going with the flow of things.
Yeah, exactly. And really trusting that the flow probably knows more than we do. You know, when we get we get in our own way sometimes because our head tells us it knows, and it's important to recognize that there are times when it doesn't know. And then there's deep trust comes in, and that's another challenge as well. Really stepping up to the deep personal trust. But it can be done, because the more we allow ourselves, and that's probably what you were talking about, getting out of your comfort zone. You know, trust is a challenging one for all of us on some levels, that there is a process taking place that we can't see. And that's what this is telling us, that, you know, if we trust that process, just because we can't see it doesn't mean to say it's not taking place. So we learn to recognise that trust can happen, and that things will take place. And, you know, we don't try and go in there and, you know, force something to happen before it's ready to happen, you know. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining me, ladies. I'm really deeply appreciative of both your company today. And I'll do another reading. I'm only going to do the new moons on a recorded live event. So come the next new moon, which will be the new moon in Gemini, obviously. I have a tendency to muddle these up. So as I've been going around these for a couple of years, I can just funny. You'd think I'd figure it out, but nah, I still hit a little blank. Just when I'm about to speak, I'll hit a little blank. So the next one's going to be in Gemini, and I'll be doing that from Maui, which will be very exciting because I leave in Monday week. So that's going to be very cool. So, yeah, it's all coming together. So I'll connect with both of you separately, actually, before I head off. That'll be really good. So
no worries. And that was an awesome card, like so perfect. So thanks very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for coming along. It's brilliant to have you both here. Brilliant. Okay, thanks, ladies.
See you.
Yeah.
All right, bye.